The Danny Did Foundation, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I live just a few blocks from my dear friends, the Stantons. The Stantons founded the foundation after they lost their son, Danny, when he was 4 years old to SUDEP. Danny was also my son's first friend. That's him on the screen there. And having to explain to my son that he could no longer play with Danny is a day that I'll never forget. And I have dedicated myself to helping protect people with epilepsy so that they can live longer and safer lives. And I had the privilege to plan this special afternoon with Allison Kukla. She is the Senior Advisor for Outreach and Education for Partners Against Mortality and Epilepsy, or PAMI. And our first step is always to revisit the mission, the purpose, and the vision for today's meeting, and that's on the screen there. These statements were established in 2023, and they continue to serve as the foundational pillars that guide us. And we designed 3 hours of this afternoon to align with this framework. So we're all here today to talk openly about mortality and epilepsy. And whether that's through a shared commitment of raising awareness or driving action, or through a desire to find community, to find friendship and understanding with others who have experienced a similar loss. We hope to create this sense of community today through education, through sharing personal stories, and through some advocacy opportunities. We share a common bond today. It's the desire to end mortality and epilepsy. And the goal of this meeting is for you to feel supported and for you to feel empowered, not just today and this afternoon, but throughout the year ahead. We hope that you'll stay connected with PAMI and with the people you meet here today and tomorrow. You'll find a special gift created only for those in this room on your table in front of you. It's a leather keychain, but it holds a hidden pocket hug token. And it's engraved with Remember, Unite, Prevent. Words that capture the essence of the PAMI conference and why we're all here today. Remember, unite, prevent. When you feel sad or overwhelmed, we invite you to take that token out of your pocket or your purse and hold it for a moment and let it remind you that you're not alone. This small hug is a nudge for you to check in with your friends at PAMI, to reconnect with those that you meet here today, and to visit the website for upcoming webinars or engage in our social media pages. Whenever you hold it, may it remind you that this community is here for you today and always. Okay, so this afternoon, we'll begin with a panel that focuses on long-term nature of grief, exploring how it evolves over the years. Then we'll move to a panel of family members who have channeled their grief into action. And we'll take a short break, and then we'll conclude our afternoon together with roundtable conversations. If you're not comfortable participating in the roundtable grief exercises, we understand. We want you to feel comfortable. We do invite you to stay if you'd like, to listen, or just to be present in whichever way feels most comfortable for you. And a few housekeeping as well is that we will have a break there from 4:10 to 4:15. There'll be time for questions and answers after each segment, so feel free to hold your questions. And we do want this to be a conversational afternoon, so please don't be shy. And there is a quiet room that's available. If you would like to step out at any point today or tomorrow, it's called the Willow Room. Just exit back out the doors and go right towards the end of the hallway there, past the escalator, and you'll find that room. And if you have not already picked up your remembrance ribbon, please do so. That you'll attach that to the bottom of your badge so that we all can recognize each other and support each other over the next day and a half. And finally, I'd like to invite you to our reception. It'll be held right where we were a minute ago in the lobby area from 6 to 7:30 this evening. And then we can continue any conversations that you have started here during that time. And it will be also a great time for you to meet tomorrow's presenters and researchers who will be joining the conference. In a moment here to thank our generous sponsors for really helping us to make this important conference possible. So thank you to our sponsors listed there. Okay, so we're going to begin. I'm honored to introduce Rebecca Green. who has graciously agreed to begin our afternoon by sharing her personal story with us. Rebecca and her family live here in Atlanta, and she has kindly welcomed us to her hometown by opening our program today. A little bit more about Rebecca. She is a devoted parent and advocate who has spent 10 years caring for her medically fragile daughter, Ellie. Ellie lived with complex and drug-resistant epilepsy. Throughout Ellie's life, Rebecca navigated the challenges of intensive medical care, therapies, and hard decisions. Ellie passed away in June of 2023. Her life continues to inspire Rebecca's work as well as her family's work in advocacy, awareness, and support for families facing similar journeys. So welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, everybody. Mary is going to do my slides. Welcome to Family Day. This is my first Family Day that I've been able to attend, and I'm thrilled that you're here with all of us in the Peach State. I hope that you get some good biscuits and gravy while you're here and some Southern barbecue. If you need recommendations, please ask my wife because she is the native. I am a transplant. While I was born and raised in the Windy City like my friends at Danny Did Foundation, Atlanta is now my home. I work for a nonprofit that writes disability and inclusion curriculum for elementary school students and provides professional leadership training for the teachers. My wife is a physical therapist turned case manager at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta on their inpatient rehab unit. We have 3 kids. Our oldest daughter, Ellie, was a sassy Spitfire who passed away at 10 years old on hospice. Our middle son, Rhodes, who you'll see in a few slides, is 9 and currently obsessed with the Statue of Liberty and Minecraft. And our newest addition, Sullivan, is 14 months old and would prefer to spend 24/7 outside if he could. They are both at home with Mimi and Pop, so my wife and I are enjoying a date day together. While I've mentioned Chicago and Atlanta, Ellie's story actually begins in Ghana, West Africa. From age 18 to 27, I lived in Ghana volunteering with various nonprofits and different grassroots organizations. Throughout those years, I spent my days in local hospitals arranging medical care for disabled kids, running a small private palliative care foster home, and building village libraries and education initiatives. I met Ellie, the middle picture at the beach, when she was 9 months old. She weighed 5 pounds and was frail as could be. The next 3 years in Ghana were spent navigating the foster care and adoption process and finally being able to immigrate to Chicago for much needed medical care. Before arriving in the US, I knew Ellie had cerebral palsy and various brain malformations, but it wasn't until I was sitting in a Chicago Children's Hospital after a G-tube surgery that a doctor came in and said, "She has epilepsy too," and it was in that tone. Although not a shock given her other diagnoses, it sent me into an immediate downward spiral. I could tell you about all the medications we tried and failed every single one, surgical interventions and countless epileptologists that we saw, but that isn't what I remember about Ellie's 10 years of life, and I hope to my core those aren't the moments that she remembers either. Ellie loved adventure. Ellie was the happiest when she was doing something fast, bumpy, or on edge. It started with a friend introducing her to adaptive snow skiing in Wisconsin in the top left picture, which quickly snowballed into adaptive water skiing. Then that went into riding roller coasters and finding every hill she could take her adaptive bike down. Her laugh was infectious, and you couldn't help but join her when you heard her snorty giggle. Ellie had large opinions and always made them known through her darting side eye or putting the volume of her communication device up to 100 and shouting, "This is boring, goodbye," in any situation that she pleased. Ellie loved her brother Rhodes and especially loved when my wife and I would leave the room so Rhodes could wrestle her, make fart noises, or change the channel to something that they wanted to watch. When Ellie turned 10, she began to slow down. Her seizures began to be constant, and the sparkle in her eyes faded. And eventually, there was no remaining options that preserved Ellie's dignity and quality of life in a way that felt meaningful to us, to her parents, or her palliative care team. After Ellie died, my wife and I talked at length about how we wanted to keep her memory alive. One thing we learned very quickly was that there was no single right way to grieve. There was no correct timeline, no required project, no rule that says you have to make your grief public or purposeful. How each family carries their own child's memory is deeply personal and valid in every way. In a community of medically complex children that we were a part of, it feels like there's a lot of pressure after a child dies for the family to create a foundation, to raise a bunch of money, to write a book, create a scholarship. The list goes on and on. All of those are valid and noble things to do if you choose, but none of those felt right to us and to our family. Instead, we choose to support the organizations that supported Ellie. Each year we attend or speak at a fundraiser that granted Ellie her wish to go to Disney, like in the middle picture. We advocate for palliative care and hospice organizations here in Georgia. Ellie is remembered in the everyday small moments of our family. We walk through Target and think, she would have loved that Moana toy. Or when we overhear a loud conversation at a restaurant and think, Ellie would be 100% snooping right now. My hope for you today is simple. I hope that you find a moment to sit across from another parent and feel seen. I hope you speak your child's name and share a story, a memory, or a detail that still makes you smile. Maybe you leave here energized to raise money or volunteer in honor of your child for an epilepsy organization. Maybe you leave here just with a slightly lighter heart because your child's memory was witnessed and spoken out loud. Both are valuable and both matter. Wherever you are in your grief, whether that's loud, quiet, active, or still, you belong here. Thank you.